The greatest, and that, of course, was from the Ringo Starr LP that Richard Perry produced, and the song was written by John Lennon, who's with us tonight. And I just thought that, the song has a lot to say about you, too, right?
Yeah, I started the song. Hello, Tom. How are
Hello,
you?
all
Long
right.
time. How
Yeah,
are
right.
you? Great. All right. Yeah, I had the bit about I'm the greatest around, and the little piano lick for quite a bit, and I was always thinking, I can't sing that. I can't sing that. I'm going to say, it's him singing. He's the greatest. And then I kept trying to, I'll change it. And I thought I could never change it, And then I thought, Ringo, So I finished it off. I sort of wrote it for him, but it was really me, him, all of it.
You've been real busy lately, right? You've been working on, 2 albums?
Yeah, well, I was in the middle of Phil Spector album. That was 73, actually. And then Phil was ill or had a car accident. And I waited, And he didn't get he didn't get better, so I decided to go in and start my own album. And 3 days before I went in and booked the time, he sent me the tapes. So from doing nothing for months on end and just hanging out, suddenly I had all this work to do, which I liked. So I went in and did my own album, which I brought with me, of course.
And waiting for Phil Spector, he is waiting, because he has a different concept of time than the rest of the world.
Yeah, he still thinks we're working on the last album, so I finished one while we were waiting, and I'll go back and deal with Phil's tape, see what we did.
Right. And then you've done the Nielsen album recently.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. Pussycats. Yeah, I did that while I was waiting for Phil. And I just sort of got turned on to not being the singer again and being behind the board. So I thought, I may as well do my own now. So I went straight from Harry's into my own. Used basically the same musicians, too.
Doesn't sound like you've been loafing very much, though.
No, it's all or nothing with me.
All right. Okay, let's just start through the new album with side one, cut one. That's where they always supposed to put the song they like the most in. Oh, do you?
Well,
what do you do? How do you figure out?
It depends, I try and start it off with, except for when I did Imagine, I put I suppose that was the album, really. Usually try and put something that brings you in, but not too much, but just sort of medium. And that's what this is. It's called Going Down on Love.
Okay, we're listening to John Lennon's new LP. And that was Going Down on Love, and you just go down in the microphone, man.
Okay, that was Going Down on Love with Arthur Jenkins on his beautiful conga. He's the percussionist on the album. And the song really speaks for itself, so I can't describe it. And we'd like to play another cut here, which is an instrumental, which ended up on the B-side of the single. He says, like he's on AM. It's called Beef Jerky. And I get off on this because I don't have to hear my voice all the time.
There we are. We're back.
There we are.
Now, you got to rap a bit while I...
Okay, so let's think about it. So that was an instrumental that I just had the lick, and the thing is I couldn't... Whenever I played the lick on my guitar... what's that?
Number 1 Dream?
Number 9 Dream. Oh, yeah,
No,
yeah, that's fine.
See that.
Whenever I played the lick on the guitar, I couldn't sing it and play it at the same time, so I never got any lyrics for it, so it ended up as instrumental. And I'm rather glad of it, really. Next one's a song called Number 9 Dream, for no reason at all.
Well, you've numbered things a lot, though, over the years, huh?
Yeah, number 9 seems to crop up in my life. Even the cover of the album, I used a picture that I drew when I was a kid of 12, and it's a football picture, and the main guy's got number 9 on his back, so that's my number.
Oh, your birthday's October the 9th.
October the 9th, we had Revolution number 9, number 9, so let's go.
Number 9 Dream, and that one, of course, by John Lennon from the new LP, which is called Walls and Bridges. We'll talk to him about the significance of that in just a moment. This is Tom Donahue. I'm going to do it till midnight tonight. John Lennon is our guest, and we're playing cuts from his new LP, and it's
all right.
Walls and Bridges?
That's right.
I know. Tell us about that. I'm always curious to know why people call an album what they call it.
Oh, yeah. Well, normally I try not to think about the title until the end,
Yeah.
And as usual, I didn't have a title, and I think I had it on a public service announcement. One of those Brotherhood or late night stuff,
right.
when they make you miserable in between the movies. I just heard somebody flash something about Walls and Bridges, and it stayed with me, and I almost called Number 9 Dream Walls and Bridges, but it didn't make sense. It was one of those, I liked the title. I kept trying to fit it into something.
I figure that it's never legitimate to ask a songwriter what a song means, but a title's a little different.
Yeah,
you know?
title. Well, it was. I liked the thing, you know. Walls and bridges, like walls you bump into or they close you in, and bridges you go across or something like that. And it was just putting it somewhere. Putting it somewhere.
There we go.
Right.
Putting it to them.
So I finally put it on the album. Nothing else came. You know, I stick with the title until something better comes. And and as the album finished, it seemed to be like, you know, without any thought what it was about. Oh, some kind of communication problems, you know. So it fit.
Can you remember what
nice.
we set up next?
From the album?
Yeah.
What You Got.
You were prompted on it. I just wanted to see it. Because I forget a lot, you know.
Yeah, well, I wasn't sure if we were going to play Angel Baby or not.
We're going to get to Angel Baby, yeah. What you got?
What You Got. What you got.
I like that a lot.
Thank you. I like
And
it too.
this is a new John Lennon album. I guess you got to like it all. I mean, do you do more than you put on the album? Or the songs that you left off? Or
No, usually on this album there's 11, which is odd. I usually have 10 on, meaning not for any reason other than if you go over about 18, 19, 20 minutes, it gets a bit low. So I just left one off this time. But usually I only have exactly what I'm doing. At most there's usually one that I don't put on.
Well, we were talking about old records you liked, and Angel
yeah.
Baby was one of the first ones that came to mind.
That's one of my all-time favorites.
I was trying to think what year Angel Baby would be.
I have no idea. I'm getting too old to remember. 62?
I'd say.
I don't know. It sounds earlier than that. It's a pity we haven't got the B-side, because the B-side's one of the classic all-time funny records where they get it wrong. It's not even the girl singing. It's obviously somebody else singing. They must have had 5 minutes to cut the B-side. And the drummer's on the on-beat all through it. Sax solo comes in too soon, so there's a big hole. The guitarist comes in. It's the funniest record. But Angel Baby is a beauty.
It's one of the great bad records. It's a special category of records.
The B-side of Angel Baby is one of the all-time great bad records. Yes.
I think Angel Baby is too.
Oh no! Oh, I couldn't.
Don't
say anything.
But
about
I say
that,
bad
Tom.
in the sense of bad. It's bad.
Bad. You mean bad?
Bad,
You mean
bad, right.
Bad. Yeah.
And sometimes bad too.
Sometimes bad.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
That's Angel Baby.
Are we on?
And we're back. And I want to turn you on to one we're discussing that I think is in much the same space as Freaks say. It's by a fellow named Ron Holden. It's called I Love You So.
I'm writing out a list of oldies here, you know.
That's Ron
That
Holden.
was all right.
That was all right.
That was nice. I'll take it with me.
Okay. You were talking earlier about Brontosaurus Stomp, Roy
Oh,
Wood.
yeah. Hello, I'm just pulling the mic nearer.
Yeah.
Because I'm mumbling.
So talk a bit about Roy, because I think to a lot of people here, they're just getting to know him. They know him through ELO, you know. And
well, yeah, because he split. They were originally Roy Wood and what's the guy in ELO? Jeff Lynne. They were in a group called The Move. In fact, they still make records under The Move. Mm-hmm. And they were sort of okay as The Move. You know, they made a lot of top 10 records. And then they split. I don't know when, in the 60s, late 60s, they split. They just had single hit after single
hit. Split up.
Yeah, sort of Hollies but better, you know? Funkier. And then, they do split up. It's amazing, isn't it? Strange. And they make good records. Now, Roy Wood turned out some good stuff, and this is one of them. I know he did stuff before it, but this is the one I remember, because it's the first time I saw him on TV looking like a madman with paint all, striped on his face. And the only people who were doing that were real underground people then. He come on Top of the Pops, the English BBC, and I just looked like a freak singing the song. I liked it. And I like the other ELO too. We'll get to them later.
Brontosaurus Stomp.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Let's pay for it now. Okay, let's get back to work. With ELO, which is the next progression of Roy Wood, right?
Right. This is Jeff Lynne. This is a few years later. And I think they once said they were taking off where the Beatles left off with Walrus, and I think this is a good result of it.
As somebody here was saying, that's another one that was stolen from the Beatles in a sense, or borrowed. How's that?
No, I wouldn't call it stealing. There's a little movements here, that you can almost pick which songs, but you can do that with Beatle music too, if you know where our influences came from, And what was it on the Showdown one? We won't name where the pieces came from, because somebody might pick it up and sue them, But there's 2 records there, but it's beautifully done,
and
it's improved.
I mean,
yeah, well, it's
Grapevine.
Grapevine and Thunder and Lightning Strikes Again, Lou Christie, but you could never place it. You know, if you wrote it out, it would look nothing the same if you wrote music.
This is Tom Donahue, and you're at Jive 95. John Lennon is our guest tonight, and we started off playing things from his new LP, and then took a turn somewhere down the road and got into some favorite records of his. And we'll get back to that, but I thought it might be nice, since he is in town, to go back to Walls and Bridges.
That would be nice, yes.
Yeah.
We almost forgot about it, didn't we?
Yeah, for a moment.
We've got a pile of records here I've been ordering up. We're going to play track 2, side 2, called Surprise, Surprise. And, yeah, believe it or not, when I first started writing this, it sounded like Little Darling, do-do-do-do-do-do. But listen, and you'll hear it's nowhere near it. That, just because I must mention, that was Elton John singing harmony on that record. And they almost lost him on the mix, but it's there. On earphones, you really get it.
Where did you cut the album?
In New York Record Plant, East, they call it. And I've cut everything there except for Harry Nilsson's album. Because, except for the Phil Spector stuff, which hasn't come out. Mm-hmm. But I like it there, because when you come out at night, you know, or on West 44th Street between 8 and 9, if you know where that is, and you come out and it's just all cooking any time of night. Hookers, taxis, food, cops, the whole scene's cooking. So when you come out after making the record, it's not that dead, you know, just zap, zap, zap.
Mm-hmm. Did you just ad-lib for a minute, man?
Oh, yes.
What's that mean?
Well, we're just deciding what to play after we play after the next one that we play, which I'm not going to tell you what it is till we play it. And I thought the next one connects. And there's a prize of 3 minutes silence for anybody who guesses the connection between the two records.
All right.
Besides them being from the same period.
There's Carl Perkins?
Carl Perkins, yeah. Connection between that and River Deep of the great Phil Spector. And Tina Turner singing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the connection that I was... somebody's going to win a prize for this is Sam Phillips, who was one of Phil's idols, who was the guy that produced Carl Perkins, Jerry Lee Lewis, Elvis Presley, and the rest of those people in the early days. And he was the first records I know of that really used tape echo.
Right.
The early tape echo, great, which Phil uses a lot, and a lot of us do.
This is the a song that became #1 single in England, and I remember Spector took out a full-page ad in Billboard magazine. There was Spector in a British flag, and all it said was, Benedict Arnold was right.
Yeah, I don't blame him. I mean, is one of the all-time great records. I really think so. And the fact it didn't make it in America must have really killed him. And it must have been terrible, because it was so good. It cost $75,000 to make the single, and that was those days. So, but that doesn't matter. It's a classic. It must have been very painful. And that's why I cut it there, yes.
Okay, well, how about the album that Spector came in after you'd finished and worked on?
Is that the Beatles one?
Right. Was there any thought about putting out the original version before he sweetened it?
Well, until you mentioned it, I'd even forgotten there might be one. I don't think we ever mixed it ourselves, because by then we hated it so much. And I think, the tracks, some of the tracks are pretty rough, because we weren't cooking at all. And nobody could face playing it or mixing it and going in. Nobody wanted to do it. Nobody had an interest, you know.
And you go back now, and I suppose you have to, from time to time, listen to the things you did with the Beatles.
Oh, I like listening.
Do you like, are there things that have gotten better to you over the years that you look back on and think, oh, but that was dynamite?
Some, gotten better in as much as I thought I didn't like them at the time, you know, because I wanted it to be something else. You know, you often go in with a sound in mind and come out with some, you know, you go in, you want to be B.B. King or whatever, right? And you come out and you're not. And for years that hangs with you what you were trying to do. And then I hear it and think, oh, that's okay. It wasn't as bad as I thought. And where were we?
We're back on an album called
we're in
Walls
San
and
Francisco,
Bridges.
that's it, yeah.
Right.
Hi.
Did you do the drawings?
No, this is the first cover of an album that I didn't do myself, because I like doing them. I like even pasting them together. But I was really too cooking on the album to even think about it. So I let the guy at Capitol do it, Roy Kahara, and he turned out a nice job. Actually, it was originally going to be the cover for the Spector album, which we keep going back to.
But you will be going back to it, right?
Yeah, when I leave here, I'll go back to it, back to New York. And so we used it for this instead, and it works the same.
Okay, now we're back to side 2.
Uh-huh.
No, I'm sorry, it's side 1. You
side
said
1, this is...
Bless You.
Bless You. You can dance very slowly to that. Take a listen. Hello, who's that?
Hello. Is that something we were cutting off probably in the end of the song?
Well, I enjoyed dancing with you, Tom.
It is delightful. We could be on Come Dancing if they just brought it back.
Yeah, and we could trade it with you for Lawrence Welk.
Right. I always thought they would go together incredibly well. Come Dancing is a BBC show, and it's a program that is devoted to various clubs around England that do ballroom dancing, and they dance competitively on this TV show, and they each have their own compere to sort of talk up how...
Mary's wearing 4,000 sequins hand sewn to the back of her neck.
By Roy.
Yes,
partner.
right.
He's a mechanic during the daytime, and this is the last night they'll be dancing together because Mary is engaged and her fiancé doesn't dance. And the great military dances, I used to love them, when a whole lot of people or teams of...
Oh, they do the sort of...
the
like
team
formation
dancing,
dancing,
right.
they call it. Oh, yeah, that's the big
Yeah.
trip.
Couples
10
over
people all
70
playing...
men balls, right?
Yeah, right, all doing the tango. The men like doing them Spanish ones,
Yeah.
where they can put their hands up and hold their guts in.
I always thought it was that and Monty Python. They were the two funniest programs.
They're
BBC.
bringing that show over here
Yeah.
on cable of, what do you call it here, public, what is it?
Public TV. Or
Public TV.
And National Education.
National Educational, you call it, yeah. That's coming shortly, so.
I hope you're around to see it, man.
Yeah, I might even introduce it, they asked me to. But
How are things going about staying in the country?
Well, every now and then they give me 30 days to get out, which is and then we appeal it.
Mm-hmm.
And taxi drivers say, oh, you're still here? So it goes on like that.
Okay, let's get to the album you did with Harry Nilsson.
Yeah, well, this is the first take we did, and it was in Record Plant West, and it was the first night, and you can tell.
Well, let me ask you this, though, first. How'd you happen to get with Harry on it? Because he's had, I know you've known him for a long time. And he lives in
Often
England
I wasn't
somehow.
hanging around with him much. Ringo was a lot.
Uh-huh.
I met him
And
years
Derek.
ago through Derek, yeah.
Right. Derek produced it.
So I really didn't get to know him till this album.
First night.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the cuts in the album that people really enjoy hearing the most of.
Yeah, I like it because it's sort of, mad.
Oh, yeah, totally.
It's really mad, yeah. A lot of edits in it, which I still hear. Spot the edit, folks, and you win an invisible T-shirt.
And he did some things, I guess. I have in mind the ending of Many Rivers Across. It sounded...
That was second night.
Right.
Second or third.
Sounded like you listened to your album.
No, well, no doubt he's heard them, but he was singing it pretty much as he sang it, but he was holding back. So I just said, because it was him brought the song to me, and I loved it, and I just kept asking him for more on it.
Yeah.
And it turned out like it did, and I liked it. I knew there was going to be, it sounds like he's doing John. But there's a certain point when you get high, right, either singing or anyway, where you're going to go to the same place.
Mm-hmm.
There's nowhere else for him to go but there.
I think he has a tremendous voice.
Yeah, I love it.
I think I'm trying to think of the song that Richard Berry did with him.
Without You.
Without You.
Yeah.
Just...
That's another. I love it. I just heard that they cut the piano and the vocal first and then laid everything else on it after. Amazing. I've never done that.
This is a Dylan song that you wanted to play.
Oh, yeah, Karina, Karina. This is one of the early Dylan records I got turned on to. And I like this one. And he didn't write it or nothing. And when I met him, he was saying, we were swapping shit and that. I said, I like Karina, Karina, it's nice backing. And he looked at me like, surprised. Backing? I said, yeah, the backing is great. So let's hear it.
Bob Dylan's Karina. And you said you did that in Paris the first time?
Yeah, I think that was the first time I ever heard him at all. And I think Paul got the record from a French DJ. We were doing a radio thing there. And the guy had the record in the studio. And Paul said, I keep hearing about this guy. Or he'd heard it, I'm not sure. And we took it back to the hotel and fell in love like.
Mm-hmm. Just to jump off him for a minute before we get on to some commercials and some other things. Do you have any desire to appear live again? I mean, does that turn you on? Would you like to try it
get the buzz to do it now and then, but I always get, like I project and see it all. I tend to do that about everything, you know, even going downstairs or putting my trousers on.
That's good, Lee.
But then, right. So sometimes I feel already done it. And then you think about the percent of good shows one has out of, say, you're lucky to get 3 out of 10 where you really hit the moments that you're looking for.
And the bad dressing rooms and the bad sound system.
That I don't care if the other's okay.
Well.
But I probably will, because I'll find myself having to or something. But I don't really fancy that 40. I mean, I couldn't do that thing George is doing now. He's 30 cities or something like that.
Got an incredible group he put together for that.
Well, I don't even know who it is. You know,
Andy Newmark,
I need
Preston.
God and Jesus for a tour like that.
Doesn't matter who's with you, I guess, after a certain point.
No, only make him feel good.
Yeah.
If they're good. I wish him luck, anyway.
This is Tom Donahue, and I'm going to be here for a while longer. John Lennon's our guest tonight. We've been playing cuts from his new LP, and we'll be getting back to that. And right now we're just playing some records he likes, and we're up to the Wailers.
Yeah. I've forgotten who turned me on to the Wailers. I think it was Gary Kilgren from Record Plant West, and he played it to me at a party, and it blew me head off like. It's very good. Eric got I Shot the Sheriff from the album. That's one of the tracks. This is the track I like best. Get Up.
We really knocked that one around. I mean, at least
It might work anyway.
Yeah, it could. I played the song at the right speed.
Ah, yeah, the saxophone you played.
Yeah.
Well, the guy playing sax there, Bobby Keys, he heard it on the radio, and he said, "Oh, that's a nice sax solo, not here, in L.A."
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, he said, well, he realized it was him playing it. Amazing, isn't it?
What we're actually trying to do, though, is go from Scared
into Dance with Mr. D.
Into Dance with Mr. D.
Yeah, and we didn't, because
if you'll just move whatever gets you through the night in front of Scared.
Scared was a track from the album, which we didn't say what it was.
Yeah.
Remember, we went in from the Wolves. That was the track, yeah.
And it was supposed to go into this. A wonderful fantasy just popped in the room.
Yeah.
And it was the idea of Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys and Phil Spector producing Harry Nilsson.
Yeah, what a
incredible.
And I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
I'll film it.
Yeah, really.
What's the most expensive album the Beatles ever made, would you say?
Sgt. Pepper, because it took 9 months. It wasn't 9 months in the studio, but we'd work, then stop a bit, work it out, rest, work. It was the most expensive, and of course the record company was screaming. They screamed at the price of the cover, etc., etc. And now it's probably pinned all over the walls.
How many tracks was that?
I don't remember.
I think it's 4-track, yeah.
Oh, I see, that kind of thing. I thought you meant how many tracks on the album.
No.
I don't remember. I don't remember it being 4. I know they keep telling us we worked on 4, so we must have. I remember we were always waiting for something, and I thought by now I keep thinking it must have been 16 track, but I think you were right. But it was 4 or 8 is the answer to that one.
With Nielsen, you're working with 16, right?
Oh, sure, yeah. It's been 16 for a long time.
Doc Thomas. Well, there's a
nice story about that.
16 now.
Oh, I know that. I've never gone over 16. I mean, I've used tracks, mixed down and mixed together to get more available. But that 24 business and 38, couldn't deal with it. Back to music. Somebody told me a story about this song, which is that Doc Thomas, who is in a wheelchair, who lives in a wheelchair. I only met him once, I was thrilled. And he wrote this for his beautiful wife. And it's Save the Last Dance for Me. And it's Harry singing.
A couple of incredible records. The John Lennon produced Harry Nilsson version of Save the Last Dance for Me, and then the Drifters doing the original. And the album that you worked out with Phil is oldies, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all oldies. What did we do? Oh, I don't want to say what we did, because people cover them.
Yeah.
And it's 73 we started, if it ever comes out.
Well, you see, it's safer than Oldie's album because you don't need to feel rushed. But
That's true. That's true.
It isn't going to lose that thing of being of the moment, you know. This is Tom Donahue. We're talking to John Lennon, and I thought it was about time we got back to what he used to do and played some Beatles things.
Yeah, I'm still doing the same on the I know a bit more about it, I guess. Gonna use something from the White Album, right?
Yeah, let's
the Chocolate Box.
go for a bit of that.
Written in the hills of Himalayas.
Oh.
That's one thing transcendental meditation does for you. It's make you so tired.
Any reason you went to that one?
Because that was the first one when we said, oh, White Album. That was the one that came to mind, just like that.
I know the Beatle experts in the world, full of them, always point to Revolver as the big turning point. I think there's a lot of people around who are rock and roll critics today that may be the first thing they ever heard.
Well, like everything, people go in trends, you know, and the trend now is to think that was the change. And the trend before was to think Rubber Soul was the change. And then the other trend was Sgt. Pepper, right? But the whole thing was a gradual change, so there was no major...
You weren't conscious of being spun around or anything?
No, but we were conscious that some formula or something was moving ahead, that was for sure. But we were on the road, you know, not physically. I mean, on the road in the studio. And the weather was clear.
And we're to Rubber Soul.
Right.
From
the
Revolver.
masturbation fantasy song, take 9.
All right.
I think it was your son suggested going out the blue from the Mind Games album to Sexy Sadie or vice versa, didn't he? Because the chords are similar. Be interesting to hear. You mentioned yourself.
Right. This is Tom Donahue. Our guest is John Lennon of the Blue.
That set us on a trip talking, right?
Yeah. It's easy to drift away doing it.
Yeah. Well, especially when I was there, you know. Amazing.
Do you find specific memories coming back on?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I remember singing them and writing them. Always 2 separate places. That was written in India too. Just as we were leaving, waiting for our bags to be packed in the taxi, they never seemed to come, we thought. They're deliberately keeping the taxi back so that we can't escape from this madman that camp. We had a mad Greek with us. It was paranoid as hell, kept saying, it's black magic, they're going to keep you here forever. So that was what I was doing while that was going on.
But you got away.
I must have got away because I'm here.
Yeah, you're here. And when you said a little while ago, you just liked the way that what meditation done to your voice.
Well, there was meditation or being away from everything. I mean, we were really away from everything. It was like a sort of recluse holiday camp, you know, right at the foot of the Himalayas. It was like being up a mountain, but they call it the foothills, hanging over the Ganges with baboons stealing your breakfast and everybody flowing around in robes and sitting in the rooms for hours and hours meditating. It was quite a trip. I was in the room for 5 days meditating. That was quite a trip. I wrote hundreds of songs. Couldn't sleep and I was hallucinating like crazy. Having dreams where you could smell. No, I'd do a few hours and then you'd trip off, you know, or half, or whatever you were supposed to be doing, you know, 3 or 4 hour stretches, and you'd really trip out. And it was just like a way of getting there. And you'd go, amazing trips. It was never the bit where when you got back to, you know, cooking and living daily in the Western world, like, you know, getting up for breakfast and going to work or making records or back to so-called reality. You just can't fit it in.
That just goes off into the scratches then, right?
8 pianos. Well,
John, thank you very much for coming up. It's been a pleasure.
It was a pleasure, Tom. I really enjoyed it. And we really got down to the long trip down to the old dirt road, which is the last track we're going to play.
And you got a gig here anytime you want it.
Thank you. I'll be back. I enjoyed it.
We'll be expecting you.